This is the second part of the Cafe Americain podcast. I'm your intrepid host, Chris Michaels, and you can listen to me on Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher. The first part we've been trying, apparently the way it's been going, is that we've been talking about more esoteric items in the first half an hour, and then the last hour is more mundane items, such as Joseph Biden, and subsequently gold and where that's going. So the United States. Oh, by the way, we're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. I have, I think this will be 4 podcasts to post, and I will be going back on terrestrial radio. So I'm trying desperately not to curse because it's really fucking bad if you do on the air. You may get fined by a couple of assholes. So the United States now, according to BullionStar.com. This was written by Ronan Manley, is only showing gold in the working vault at West Point. Okay, so West Point only has, according to the United States Treasury Gold Reserves, which is a source within the Treasury Department, they only have 54 million ounces of gold. Denver has another 43.8 million ounces, while Fort Knox supposedly has 147.3 million ounces of gold. So everyone always teases about Fort Knox, and where did the gold really go? And so the United States is really only showing West Point's gold. Now, you have to wonder what's going on there, because you remember all of the stories coming from China, Germany, and other countries when they try to repatriate their gold. So when they say, okay, enough is enough, the game is up, I would like all of my gold back, thank you very much. What happened was that China discovered, when they decided to test the gold from the United States, that, well, in reality, it is just gold-plated tungsten. Tungsten is a very, very dense metal, but it also has about the same atomic weight as gold. Tungsten was also used for anti-tank rounds during the World War II by the Germans, specifically. So you kind of start to see a picture here that, well, where is all the fucking gold to begin with? Germany has repatriated its gold. Venezuela has attempted to repatriate its gold in the United States, and London said, well, no, tough shit. We're not going to give it to you unless Guaido is recognized as the president. Yeah, okay. Standing up for democracy and freedom, I see. And you've got other countries doing the same thing. Germany has been trying to repatriate all of its gold from the United States and London. And more you see these kinds of episodes being reported here. So ultimately, this goes to the question of, where is the real gold here? If we're only being allowed to see 54 million ounces out of over 250 million ounces, where is the other 196 million ounces of gold? Where did it go? And in order to find, and why is the United States just distributing gold-plated tungsten throughout all of this? So you have to start asking yourself, what's the real story here? Why is the gold going missing? Why is the United States allowing other countries to repatriate fake gold bars? And for the real answer to this, you have to go back to ancient mythology, and that has to go back to the Babylonian texts when they talk about how the gods came down to earth to try and mine without the D, minerals across the fruited plain, and starting in South Africa after the Great Flood, and into the Middle East, and so on and so forth, particularly within South and Central America. You had the Native Americans that were talking to the Spaniards that came over there to ultimately wipe them out. They've got rooms full of gold. You've got texts that talk about, from the Spaniards, that talk about how they created corn stalks out of gold. So can you imagine that? 6-foot tall stalks of gold that look like corn, ready to be harvested. So this is the kind of metallurgy we're talking about, and this is the kind of skill that was out there in those ancient times. And when the Spaniards asked the Mayans, Incans, and so on and so forth, when they asked, well, why are you doing all of this to the gold? Whose gold is this? And they simply responded, well, it's the gods' gold. So that tells you what's going on here. They didn't care about the gold. It was being mined and refined and sculpted for the gods. And so if you go back to the ancient Babylonian texts, you realize that the gods came to earth to mine gold. And what is the real purpose behind gold? If you go, if you delve into it, they supposedly have to break gold down into some sort of powdered form in order to replace their atmosphere that's being deteriorated, so on and so forth. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I will say this. That would certainly explain why gold is so valuable to the bankers and so valuable to the elites, and why mankind constantly chases gold no matter where it is. We must mine it. We must sell it for debt or dollars. So this really, I would not be surprised. Where's the gold? The gold is with the gods, or whatever have you. You know, the elites have a lot more access to different levels of awareness and frequency than the basic human, thanks to vaccines. So I wouldn't be surprised if all of this gold is not on Earth anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if it's off planet. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if that's it at all. And so there is no gold in Fort Knox. There is no, or if there is, it's being very well guarded for the gods' returns. And, you know, all that stuff, so on and so forth. So be on the lookout for more fake gold stories out there. And, you know, just be aware that a lot of countries are repatriating their gold, because when the gods return, if we're to go down that road, when the gods return, the country with the most gold will be favorited over the others. So Norway is saying, that's it, fuck it. We don't care about any. Go ahead, smoke, drink, eat, whatever you want, because you are a country of adults. The New York Times is reporting that one of the individuals, if I can pronounce this, I'll get $100. Sylvie Listhog. She is going out there and saying people should be allowed to smoke, drink, and eat as much red meat as they like. As immigration minister, she made headlines in 2017 with disparaging comments about Sweden, saying Norway should not become like its neighbor, which was accepting more refugees. And now she's saying, oh my God, you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want. I like this chick. I like this woman. I don't get, you know, I am a Hunter S. Thompson kind of person. I'm also a Robert Anton Wilson type of person, and with a smattering of Truman Capote in there. You do whatever the fuck you want. You want to take mushrooms? Be my guest. You want to snort rails until 30 days from now? Go ahead. I don't care. Just don't hurt anybody. Do whatever the fuck you want. You want to have coke dick for the next 30 days? Be my guests. And you can end up like, what's that guy's name? Who was the bearded guy that was in Las Vegas, and he was, you know, Stavarian? I don't know what his name is. Blitzarian? I think it was Blitzarian. Go end up like him. Snort coke and do Viagra all day long, and then get drunk and try to fuck women. So yeah, Norway has got the right idea. And so does Portugal, by the way. Portugal has decided that it is not the right idea to go after drug abusers as criminals, but more like they should be going after drug abusers as people with mental disabilities. So instead of throwing them in prison, they're throwing them in mental institutes. However, mental institutions can be a good thing, I suppose. I've never been in one, but I suppose they could be. Moving right along, speaking of people that should be in mental institutions, Alyssa Milano. This mental midget is not bringing the potato salad to the next Mensa picnic. She has said a number of stupid things that make you roll your eyes, and now Alyssa Milano is calling for a sex strike. She tweeted, "Our reproductive rights are being erased. Only women have legal control over our own bodies. We just cannot risk pregnancy. Join me by not having sex until we get bodily autonomy back. I'm calling for a hashtag sex strike. Pass it on." Okay. Listen, sweetheart. You've got a number of problems here. So the first one is going to be something that is rather, I don't know, it could be obvious, but you're not factoring in the notion that, actually, I'll just read the reply that someone made towards Miss Milano on her Instagram. It is hilarious that she apparently does not realize this is the opposite of feminism. Thought she was quote unquote woke enough to know that women like sex for sex's sake too. But great job promoting the antiquated narrative that women do it only as a concession/gift to men, and somehow thinking you're doing so in the name of progressivism. Thank you very much. Because what that says to me is that Alyssa Milano is a fucking idiot. Stupid. So Robbie Starbuck, who's more conservative, said that, quote unquote, Democrats get no sex, get even grumpier and more unhinged. He tweeted, "This is the funniest thing since I've seen all years, or this is the funniest thing I've seen all years. Does Alyssa Milano understand her plan means Democrats get no sex, get even grumpier and even more unhinged. Republicans keep having sex. Republicans get to laugh, and less babies get murdered." I assume this is him, Robbie, referring to abortions. Less babies get murdered as long as they keep this up. So Alyssa Milano, she doesn't really back down. So, I can't pronounce this guy's name. Sohrab Ahmari said a sex strike goes some way toward rediscovering traditional sexual morality. Just don't call it continence or chastity, lest the liberals wise up to the fact that they're promoting what their enemies have been preaching for 3,000 years. So it is ironic that Alyssa Milano, this loudmouth dimwit, this dim bulb of the left, she's out there promoting abstinence, which would play right. So what it... She's out there promoting abstinence, even though she's really trying to portray that women should be able to abort fetuses whenever they want. And by the way, have you ever really looked into what an abortion is? I mean, basically, a doctor goes in there with a pair of tweezers and scrambles the whole mess and sucks out all of the body parts that he missed with the tweezers. And this is supposed to be female reproductive rights. Don't control my body. I should be... So I mean, I really don't know what's going on. And the other part of all of this is, if you think about it, they send these space probes all over the universe, all over the galaxy, searching for life. They go to Mars. Oh, there's water here. Oh, they go to, what's the moon out there? They go to Neptune. They go to Jupiter. They go to Euripides. They go to all of these planets. If Euripides, I don't think Euripides is a planet. I think it's an author. Whatever. They go to all these planets named after Greek gods. Should tell you something. And they look for life. And they consider life to be any single-celled organism. So they find an amoeba that's life on this planet. But for some reason, Democrats and leftists do not consider single-celled organisms in the vagina to be life. So